and welcome to this week's Good Work Show episode
5.
Yeah, I was going to say the number, but I didn't know, so that's why
I think it's
like
5. 5 feels like the right
yeah, we're
number.
into the season, deep into the season.
We are. I would say how far in, but I actually don't know. So
we're in there.
We're in it.
If you haven't been listening or watching, go back and catch up because we talked a lot. This is a totally revamped. So if you've been a Good Work Show listener in the past, we told you on the first episode that we're kind of revamping the style a little bit and talking a little bit more about Goodwill and some of our Goodwill family and friends, and talking more about workforce development. So yeah, that's what we've been doing for the last couple of episodes, and I'm gonna have a problem here in a second with the sun.
It'll just look like you're descending from.
I know. It's that time of year. So for those of you who can't see, and those of you who can, maybe you can make it out, but it looks like there's a little bit of like a stargaze or something in the corner. And in a few minutes, the sun hits the camera, my laptop. Like it goes like in a snow globe. But it's this time of year because the sun, I think, isn't the sun lower in the winter?
Yes.
Okay, so I think it drops lower, and unfortunately it hits at a real bad angle. So I have to try to adjust my laptop.
It's fine. You just look heavenly, at least as long as you're descending from heaven, not ascending to. Because
yeah, that's right.
I don't know how we would explain that in the middle of an episode that you know.
Oh no, but I'm gonna unplug it so I can move it around a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, it is that time of year. I don't know if people can make out behind me that I've started in the very back corner. You can see that my Christmas tree is on.
So, is it on? I can't see the light.
Right there.
The blue. Oh, it's blue lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see it now.
So, it's happening.
It
is happening. I fully support early decorating. Enjoy the whole totality of the season. I'm here for it all. So
yes.
Well, today we're going to talk about, we don't have an outside guest, but we're going to share, I guess, a little bit about us. So you've heard us, and if you haven't heard us talk about within our career services, our kind of mantra for helping connect people to jobs is the ABC. It's the idea of a better job, and then a career. So folks come to us at all different points of their career journey. So some people are coming in and they're like, look, I need a job like yesterday, and I need to get in someplace and earn some money because I just got to do that. And we can do that. We actually have a good partnership with First Step Staffing that we literally can get you in you can come into our career center, tell us what you're looking for. And we have people standing by looking for folks, and we can get you a job immediately. Other people come in and they're like, I'm working and I like my job, but maybe I just want a better job. I want to make some more money. I want different responsibilities. So we can help you with that too. We can help get you some training and, get that additional skill or whatever you need in order to level up in the current position that you have to, progress in your career journey. And then the final thing is a career. Some folks come to us and they say, look, I don't just want a job. I want to find the thing that I'm passionate about, that I want to do, my forever job, my career. And we do that too. So we have our training programs. We have a number of different things that can help people connect to those positions that they look at and they say, this is my career. This is what I want to do forever, or until I retire, or whatever that looks like, or I win the Powerball. Because every job I have is the job I have until I win the Powerball. Like that.
Okay. Fast. Well, you're gonna have a job for a long time. You're having a job for a long time. Well, I let me not say that. You never know, but the odds of you
the odds are I will be
odds are stacked real bad against
right.
you.
I mean, I have a secondary plan, but
okay. Well, yeah, you have a backup plan.
I have a backup plan. But rather than say I'm going to work until retirement, I'm going to work until
Until the
Powerball
Powerball hits.
or Mega Millions, one of the two.
Yeah.
But we thought it would be kind of fun to share a little bit about our particular journeys along that path. Like, how do we go from a job, a better job, to a career? Like, what did that look like for the two of us? Um, our paths were different, but but I'm sure most people can find similarities. And I think along the way, there probably were, things that we didn't have the benefit of working with Goodwill Career Services, unfortunately. Probably could have
Just
used
a
it
head start.
at some point.
Uh-huh.
But we were just going to share a little bit about that so that you could kind of understand like what different career journeys look like, and how do people end up where they are. So who's going first?
I'll go first. Um, so are we talking about our first job?
I mean, I
Is
don't
that like that's a job? The a job?
is your A job? What was your A job? What was your first job? Not your side hustles, because we've talked about those before.
Yeah. So like the first, like I got a
That you paid,
99 or W-2 on
yeah, that you
was
paid. What is the thing
that
that
I
you?
paid some taxes on. So I think I did like the first thing I think I did, and maybe I got a 1099. Maybe I didn't get a 1099, but when I first
Hopefully the IRS ain't listening.
well, it wasn't enough. It was like the staffing aid. I think it was at Ronstadt or something where it was like, oh, they needed like a 1 day, like they needed a bunch of people to. I think it was at Delta. Honestly, there's some kind of event at Delta, and the varsity had catered it, I believe, and they needed like extra hands of people to like hand out chili dogs or something. I don't know. I don't even know how I think my mom was like, oh, instead of just like going to find a job at like McDonald's, just go to the staffing agent. Maybe you might get a better job, So I think I did that, but it was like a 1 day. It was like you go 1 day and I got, I made $20 or so. I don't know what I made, but it was that. They might have sent me a 1099 or they might have been like, there's not enough. You didn't make enough for us to print this piece of paper. But I guess the job I had that was like a regular job. I worked at Sears in the kids department, in the baby and kids department. I was a sales associate at Sears, so that was real interesting. And I guess I was good at it because the lady was like, "Well, you should go on our management training program." And I was like, "Nope, I should not. I should go straight to college." so that's what I ended up doing. But yeah, that was end of high school, getting ready to go to college. That's what my job was. And so I was learned a lot about customer service, dealing with people with different attitudes, and some nice people. And Sears, before they started going, is Sears out of business? I feel like they're out of business.
I don't think they're completely out of business.
Okay, well, they're mostly out of business.
They're mostly which is crazy, but yes, they are mostly out of business.
But that was, Sears back in the day. Like if you had a Sears card, like you could like those people had a, let me tell you, it was so funny because some of the people who came in with the Sears credit card, you know how credit cards are shaped, right? Like all of them are shaped the same, except for if
Not
you
Sears.
had a Sears card back in the day,
it was a rectangle.
Credit card was thin. It was
yes. It was Sears and J.C. Penney's were like that. I remember.
I was like, this. When first time I saw it, I was like, is this real?
I remember my mom was mad when Penny stopped taking, because she had like the original.
She had the old one.
And it was like in a sleeve. And they were like, man, we can't, no, you have to get a new J.C. Penney cup. It was brown and it just said J.C. Penney on it. And they had the Sears one because it was like gray and blue or something.
I think it was something. I had never seen that. And then so I learned about that, and then and it was mostly older folks who had that
card.
Yeah, you had to do the thing.
There was no swipe. Paper. You had to do
so yeah, I learned a lot about being flexible and learning about how to do that, but also about, the craftsman tools and all of the brands that those Kenmore, all those things that Sears had that you can't, that stuff you couldn't break. So shouts out to people shout out if you got any Sears stuff. It's probably still working. Hold on to it, because I don't think you can buy that anymore. So
I got my prom dress, and my parents got a washing machine from the same
yeah,
store.
I bet you that washing machine still works.
I think that the dryer does. That dryer is 25 years old. That dryer still is in the house.
Yep. So that was my first job that I worked there. I think I worked there for maybe a year, maybe a little shy of a year. And then I went to college, and I worked through college. So I did work study stuff on campus for a lot of different stuff. I worked in our career services building for a minute. I did some reading, like a reading program with kids at a local school, which was kind of fun through work study. And then I worked at a daycare for a good portion of that. And what else did I do? I think those were my college jobs mostly. Then I got my degree and went to become a reporter. And so I luckily was one of those people who got a degree and went to go work in the field that I got a degree in right after college, which is, that's kind of rare. So I had a journalism degree, broadcast news degree, and went to go work as a TV news journalist, and did that for a few years. And then came to Goodwill, and I've been at Goodwill ever since. So I guess now this is my career.
And this is my career.
Well, communications, marketing communications, that was the career path, but it was along the lines of what I went to school for. So, I didn't have to necessarily make that pivot, but it, it's a little ways away from Sears.
Yeah. I had a retail job. So I worked at the Gap when I was in high school. Not for very long. I did like holiday season, and I will say that there are still some songs right now that I still can't listen to because they were on that soundtrack. One of them, Santa Does the Mambo. If you ever hear that song,
Heard one.
I'll sing it to you later. Yeah, it's
but if you don't like it, what makes you think I want to hear
it? It's not that I don't like it, it's that when you hear it for 8 hours a day during the holiday season, and you go into the store and you hear Christmas music, what you don't realize is that that's about an hour and a half worth of music, and then it loops, and then you realize you've heard the same song
over and over. Yeah.
So not at Goodwill. That doesn't happen at Goodwill, but at retail stores, other retail stores it does. Anyway, so I did that. I had a lot of like volunteer stuff that I did, but I did get like a paycheck for that. Like that was a paycheck job. I did a lot of weird stuff. So like other things in high school that we did, like fundraise. What?
I think this is the floor.
We're gonna take a commercial break.
Yes.
Okay, so we're back.
Sorry about that.
Things happen, things come up. No worries. Just a little commercial break. So, so I worked at the Gap, but then I had like these volunteer things that I did
was it a job? Did you get paid?
I didn't, but here's the thing. Other people were doing, so I worked at, so we had like a like State Farm Arena.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It was a similar, is where the hockey team in Fort Lauderdale, Miami plays professional hockey. So it's that size scope of place, kind of like State Farm. And there were, like the concession stand, like the concession workers. So people get paid for that job.
Yeah.
At home, and they still do this because I think my dad does this every once in a while for his fraternity. Your organization can volunteer to work the concession stands, and then you get a piece of the sales as a fundraiser. So I did that for hockey games. So while I didn't get paid, it was still It was like a job, but I didn't get paid for it. But I figure if
Yeah.
somebody got paid for it who was doing the same job, then it counted
Hmm.
as a job.
As a job. Yeah.
But did that. In college, I did a couple little things around campus. Like I worked in our student affairs off, not student affairs, student activities office or
Hmm.
whatever. And then I had, because I went to school in Miami, I was like a hostess at a nightclub, that kind of stuff. You know, it was but it fit with what I was doing, which is communications. I had to communicate to the people who were coming to the club. Um, but I too, kind of similar to Elaine, I went to school for not journalism, I went to school for public relations and public communication. I moved to Washington, D.C., and I went to work for this U.S. Department of State. And I worked in their recruiting division for the Foreign Service. So that's also, so the only advertising or whatever that the State Department does is for Foreign Service officers. So that's where I work. So I helped manage the advertising agency we had, and then also did actual recruitment for the agency, going mostly college recruitment. Because I was right out of school. They would
Hmm.
send me to all of the career fairs around the country and recruit. So I did that. And then I went to a public relations firm, like a real firm, and worked there. A lot of a lot of the skills were transferable. Like on one hand, like at State, I was doing college recruitment, and then the clients that I had when I was with the PR firm required me to go to conferences and be in
Hmm.
booths and talk to people about stuff. So it was similar skill set. I left there and went to another nonprofit in Florida where I did disaster safety communications, but it was all stakeholder relations, media relations. And then I came to Goodwill, where I do similar things, event planning and media relations and et cetera, et cetera. So my career path, my career path has actually been fairly straight. Like I haven't gone too many different directions. I've gone to a lot of places to do it. So I have
Hmm.
moved around a lot to do it, but the actual jobs and what I was doing has actually been very much along a path and moving in one direction. So, it's kind of cool. And I think it's interesting, because you kind of made like a career change, but you stayed in the same physical location. I've been kind of
Hmm.
doing the same work, but, every time I took a new job, it required me to get an 18-wheeler truck and move
And
a
yeah.
thousand miles.
Well, I
So,
mean, I wouldn't move from a different part of the state, but I was still in the state of Georgia when I was reporting. So
yeah.
that that didn't that wasn't too bad. But no, I just yeah. Well, that's our career path. Everybody has a different one.
Yeah. We're gonna I think one thing that'll be fun, we need to find some people that we know that have fun jobs and kind of ask them how they got there. Like, how'd you do this? Like, how'd you get here?
Who has
Do
a
we know
fun
anybody with
job?
like a fun job? Not a fun job, but like, oh, that's interesting.
Well,
No.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody, but there may be interesting aspects of it. But you know what? It's funny because I was talking to somebody who is like in sports marketing, but the stuff that she deals with on her job is the same.
Right.
It's the
It
same. You know
sounds,
what I mean? Like it seems interesting from the outside, but it's also like
it's
it's
a
just
job.
work.
Yeah, I was
And
actually thinking about,
I don't say that lightly. I mean, I'm not saying it's just work because it is very important work, and but it's also interesting in that, like, if I knew somebody who was well, we did have a clown. We had clowns on the show. Remember, we had clowns
yes.
on the show one time, and it was fun. But I bet you there are some aspects of being a clown that are like, oh, this is just as regular work for me. Like it, we may think it's interesting, but it's part of what comes with being a clown.
Well, that's true. Like I can think of I can think of a couple people that I know that have jobs from the outside. They're just like, ooh, that seems,
Yeah,
but then when you actually talk to them and
yeah.
and sometimes it is a matter of helping other people. And it's like, no, your job is cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I get that you get up and do it every day, but still it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, they're cool aspects, I think, of everybody's job, but
I,
but yeah, we maybe we can or maybe somebody listening who has a really cool job and a really cool way that you got there.
maybe that's the difference.
That
Maybe
Yeah, they
that's
should
what it is.
write in and,
Let us
and tell us.
know. Maybe it's less about I'm a doctor, but it's more about I started out my professional career as a truck driver and now I'm a doctor. So how did that happen? I think that's the
Yeah,
interesting part. Like our
yeah,
stories are pretty linear, but it would be
yeah.
interesting to hear from somebody who's like, yeah, when I was 30, I just decided I was going to blow it all up and do something completely different. And how did you do that? And those are the kinds of people sometimes that come into our career
Career
centers.
center. Yeah,
They're
that's
like, I've been doing this. I feel like I'm stuck in a rut, or I don't feel like I have any opportunity for growth. And I just need to do, if I'm not going to win Powerball, I got another 35 years ahead of me of working, and I need to be able to do something that speaks to me
yeah.
or is meaningful, or at the very least pays me enough to go to this place every day.
Mm-hmm. I think most of the people, well, you know what? I don't know everybody's background, but I feel like most of the people I know pretty much have a linear career path. Like they may have switched companies or even potentially like maybe going from like aviation to like a law firm or something. I don't know, but doing some, but it wasn't like they were the truck driver and then they became
The
the
doctor,
doctor, or they were a clown and they became,
a
I
truck
don't know,
driver. I don't know.
a truck driver. Yeah, like so I'm gonna have to think about it though. I'm sure there's somebody that we know. I just can't right now. No one is coming to mind that has anything that's different like that.
Well, I think our luck is running out for this episode because the leaf blower has now shown up
Oh,
directly
okay.
behind
Well,
my house. So before this becomes something no one can hear, thanks for tuning in.
that's
Spend
right.
a little time with us, and we'll catch you next time.
See you, everybody.